are you ready? Windies in the land of put up your hand.
An inspirational match, especially from the bowling of Jayden Seales, historic as well. And the Windies were wonderful to pull off a one-wicket win in Sabina Park. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Thanks again for joining us for On Tour. What a fantastic game it was in the end. The Windies winning there by 1 wicket, and they have to thank Jayden Seales. They got to thank Kemar Roach. And of course, in the first innings, you can't forget Craig Brathwaite. All round, though, the Pakistan and West Indies game will be remembered for a very close encounter after they were set 168 runs to win. Let's head straight to the scorecard. Of course, Pakistan 217 in their first innings. And in the second innings, with 5 wickets in hand on the second day, they were bowled out for 203. The Windies, they earlier made 253 and set a target of 168. They made it by the skin of their teeth. 168 for 9. In the end, it took Kemar Roach, who bowled so well in this test match, to win it for the West Indies with an unbeaten and responsible innings of 30 not out. He saw some very, very good partnerships between Jermaine Blackwood, Roston Chase, who batted quite well. Blackwood top scorer in 55. He also saw Jason Holder with 16 and Jamal Warwick in 6. Jayden Seales in the end, holding his nerve to get 2. His bowling was indeed a revelation. If you rewind to his bowling, he became the first teenager with such tremendous figures, and only, of course, at the age of 19. 5 for 55. We'll look at that a bit later on and discuss it because it was indeed worth discussion. Kemar Roach, 3 for 30, and then 1 apiece early to Kyle Mears and Jason Holder. But what a win for the Windies. Really good bowling from Shaheen Afridi. But in the end, the Windies held on to win this game in spectacular fashion. Straight to the panel. No too much talk, as they would say. Let's go first of all to Sir Clive Lloyd. Sir Clive, how proud do you feel about the West Indies winning this match?
Well, yes, it was an excellent test match. I'm sorry it got so close, but the West Indies, normally when you get to these close finishes, they end up second. But the point is, we've always had very good and close games with Pakistan over the years. So this is nothing new. But it is good for the young players. They're experiencing a win, and they know that they cannot lose the series. And I've always said, if you want to gain altitude, you must have the right attitude. And I think the team with the right attitude won out today. And I must give a lot of credit to the bowlers, to the captain, and to the entire team. For it was, they played extremely well and under some difficult circumstances. And like most, I think if all the West Indies, we're very proud of what they've achieved.
Tino Best, you did call it that the West Indies were going to win, but did you expect it to come down to this?
Well, I love Barry. I said 198 to win with 5 wickets left. But look, I didn't expect it, but Pakistan bowled beautifully, and they fought as well. They want to win the test match. And look, the thing about West Indies and Pakistan throughout the years, Barry, they're very inconsistent teams. You don't know which West Indies is going to turn up. You don't know which Pakistan team is going to turn up. And this game reminds me of that game in 2000 at Antigua, if I'm stand to be corrected, when Wasim Akram was still playing, Courtney Walsh, and I think Jimmy Adams brought it home. And I remember that was the last test before they went to England, which would have been Ambrose's last test series. But Pakistan and West Indies always have some thrilling finishes, and today was absolutely spectacular. Congrats to Craig Brathwaite and the team. Well done, boys.
Dr. Kishif Ansari, you did say you didn't favour Pakistan to hold on. I remember in 2017, Yasir Shah played a very big part when the West Indies actually lost. But we didn't see a lot of Yasir Shah. Was that perhaps a failure of Babar Azam's captaincy to not limit the West Indies on this occasion, Dr. Ansari?
First of all, let me start by saying the congratulations to the team West Indies and the whole Caribbean for fighting and showing the real spirit of Test cricket. Like Sir Clive Lloyd mentioned yesterday about the beauty of Test cricket, we saw that in the last 4 days, and it is impeccable how beautifully West Indies has really put their deal together. As far as Pakistan is concerned, let me rephrase the sentence. It is the West Indies who has beaten Pakistan all hands up. Pakistan has lost in every department. Yes, Yasir Shah, Yasir Shah is one of the examples of the incompetency of Pakistan Cricket Board. We have a bunch of people who can be counted in that list. You mentioned 3 years ago about the test match where Yasir Shah played a vital role, but there was another gentleman in that test match, if you remember, his name was Yunus Khan. And the last wicket, if you remember very well, Yunus Khan basically walked Yasir Shah through that wicket. Somebody like that, some character like that, some experienced player like that, to hold the hands of these people, these bowlers and these youngsters, to make wickets, to manufacture wickets. This is the art of Test cricket, which we have seen missing in action in Pakistan for the past couple of decades. That we are suffering with a very serious illness, and it's called Misbah-ul-Haq syndrome. The Misbah-ul-Haq syndrome is absolutely terrible. No, that is a fact. Misbah-ul-Haq syndrome is the most terrible thing that has happened to Pakistan cricket in the last 10 to 15 years. And it is causing serious problems. And it is carrying on from the field into the dressing room now. We have only created people who come into the cricket field to defend cricket games, not to win cricket games. And now, from T20 to Test cricket, this is the dilemma Pakistan cricket is facing, and it will continue to embarrass the whole nation until and unless we get rid of this syndrome.
My goodness me. I want to go to Johnny Barron. Johnny, I want to rewind and talk a little bit about Jayden Seales' impact. Let's look at the stats. The youngest to ever pick up a 5-wicket haul and for the West Indies, 19 years old. You look at the list of some illustrious players. Kemar Roach is actually on that list as we look at it. Where does Jayden Seales' performance stack up, Johnny Barron, for that 5-wicket haul to get the West Indies back into the game early on the fourth morning?
I think it was absolutely outstanding from Jayden Seales. And of course, before he became a Test cricketer, he'd only played one first-class game. It was incredible. And bear in mind at the time, actually, that Pakistan were, 168 for 5 at that stage, the last 5 wickets falling for 35. It was an incredible effort. And Jayden Seales was at the forefront of that attack. And I think, to be honest, he's taken to Test cricket, 13 wickets in his 3 games so far, like a duck to water. There's a lot of young men coming through in the global game, and Jayden Seales is one of those who doesn't need a great deal of match practice to play the major league stuff, the major events, and that's what he's doing now. He's come through the system. He's played in a couple of big under-19 tournaments, and he's come into this Test side, and boy, didn't he deliver. Brilliant performance today.
So, Clive, I don't want to sugarcoat the victory too much and then not look at some critical points that are still faltering in the West Indies team. Their batting, Sir Clive, still is a very big problem. How can they go about solving that?
Well, I think it's by improving our domestic cricket. That's where our players will learn most of the game. And I think we have to get more of our senior players playing with these young guys. Here's Seales coming through. He's a very good prospect, 19 years of age, and getting his first 5-wicket haul. It's obvious that augurs well for the future. And there must be a few more like him. We have to start sort of teaching our players to bat long. That is we still giving away our wickets, and I keep telling people all the time that the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. We have to try and get our youngsters to think big. Our coaches must tell them the importance of batting long, concentration, and so on. And I think we will have a good future. We need another person to open the batting with. Craig, we seem to be chopping and changing in the middle because we're not winning. But if we continue to win, things will fall in place because a lot of players will want to join a winning team, and they'll realize how hard it is and the work they have to put in. So I think that we have young players there who are good enough, but we have to put in some more work with the technical side of their cricket, and the mental side.
Dr. Ansari, when you say A, you must say B. Pakistan dropped some crucial catches at some very important times.
I know. Pakistan dropped quite a few catches, and that really costed quite. There was a heavy price they paid for it. But this is just, those are the things that are part of the game, okay? You have to have a big picture in front of you. Yeah, these catches win matches. We all know that. But they will happen in every game you play. But you just have to probably minimize those kind of factors. But at the end of the day, they are part of the game. On the other hand, continuing on the point which I've earlier made, Pakistan is struggling to find their feet on the ground ever since they have seen the retirement of Saeed Anwar, Ahmed Sohail, and all those big players. And then there was an era of Inzamam ul Haq, Muhammad Yusuf, and Yunus Khan. We after they retired, we are still struggling to find the middle order in this team. We are still struggling to find the wicket-taking bowlers. We are still struggling to find the leg spinners, which we have always excelled in the past 20, 30 years, from the time of Intikhab Alam to Abdul Qadir to Mushtaq Ahmed to everybody. I mean, even Yasir Shah, during his times when he was in full form, he was delivering some goods for Pakistan. But over the last few years, the entire body language of this team and the dressing room has changed, totally changed. And the credit should go to the current management of the team, who doesn't seem to be bothered by any of the losses or any of the criticism that goes on in Pakistan. And that is why you see these non-fighting players, and everybody's trying to defend their position in the team. And most importantly, they don't even know if they're going to be playing the next test match or not, or next one day or next T20. So that dismal performance is quite worrisome for the entire nation of Pakistan, and will continue to be a problem as long as our Prime Minister continues to pick and choose the president of Pakistan Cricket Board. This is the fundamental problem which Pakistan cricket has, and as a result of that, accountability is found missing throughout this process of Pakistan Cricket Board.
Fantastically said. When we come back on tour, Tino Best is going to take an intrinsic look at the bowling of Shaheen Afridi. Stay with us.
To jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land of put up. It's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land of put up.
We're back on tour. Tino Best now is going to take a very close look at the bowling of Shaheen Afridi. 4 wickets he had, Tino. He actually upset the apple cart getting the first 3. Talk to me about Afridi. What kind of bowler is he in terms of his aggression, his lines, his length, and also his pace, because he got up into the 140s? Tino Best.
Yeah, I mean, Afridi is pure class, Barry. When I saw him at the World Cup, I think it was at the World Cup that I really took notice of this big left-hander. Look, he got good gas. He swings the ball. And he has, look, Pakistan have always produced good fast bowlers. And I thought he bowled beautifully in this test match. He hit the right areas and the right lengths. But he needed that support from Hassan Ali and Abbas at the back end. He couldn't do it himself. And at the end of the day, I think that is where he overtrade he overstrayed in terms of trying to get wickets and get the West Indies ball out. But I thought he bowled beautifully in the test match, Barry, and I'm very impressed. You've got to be impressed with a left-hand seamer. You don't see much left-hand seamers who can bowl 140 plus, apart from Mitchell Stark. So he did well. I think he's going to grow in confidence, and he's getting ready for the next test match. I can tell you that he's gearing up. And look at that spell that he bowled at Powell. And Powell didn't have a clue. I don't know if Powell was seeing the ball or not, Barry, but he looked out of sorts. He looked horrible. And I like Powell because I've seen him score runs in Test cricket. So I don't know, his technique just looks, his head falling over to the leg side. That's why, to the off stump. That was why when the ball got straight and he tried to turn it, because his head was so far over, he flicked it. Well, it got a leading edge to third slip. So look, at the end of the day, Afridi's going to look to come hard at West Indies in this second test for sure.
Yeah, very well said, Tino. I agree with you. I come to Johnny Barron on that point and ask you, Johnny, is it a case where Shaheen Afridi did not have the backup that he wanted? Didn't Hassan Ali provide that particular backup? And I asked the doc this question earlier about the lack of the spin being implemented. Your thoughts on that, Johnny Barron?
I thought to be honest, there was very little in this Test match. It boiled down fundamentally to four big drops by Pakistan in the closing stage of the game. That was the difference between the game. As far as the bowling and batting disciplines, this was a tough pitch. It seemed throughout the course of the game. To be honest, Shaheen Afridi just didn't. So Shaheen Afridi was absolutely superb, and I think he was ably supported. Ali, he took 3 for 23. He's got 60 wickets, in his 14 tests. I thought he was superb, and he plucked out 2 absolutely cool wickets with Blackwood and Holder at a critical stage of the game. So I don't think you can really level any criticism at him. It really, for me, it boiled down to those 4 drops in those closing stages of the game. Rizwan, despite that spectacular catch that he pulled off just inside the boundary, dropped a couple, and there are a couple of others as well. That was really the difference between the two sides. And I think as far as Yasir Shah is concerned, he was superb, of course, on the last tour in 2017, but spinners didn't really play a part in this game. They didn't need to, because the ball moved off the seam throughout. And I expect that to happen in the second test. And it'd be very interesting to see what both sides do as far as their spin option is concerned.
So, Clive, we're dealing with a very pertinent question now. The West Indies have played what? This is now 7 Test matches for the year. This is now the third they've won. They've drawn 2. Are we to say and to perhaps think that West Indies cricket is improving where Test cricket is concerned? So, Clive Lloyd, is that a fair question?
Well, if we had a sort of not a very good series against South Africa, actually, but we still thereabouts. We still don't have that balance. And if you pick in a Test team, it must have balance. We're still missing a good opening batter. That means that your number 3 has got to be pretty strong. Your number 3 batter has got to be one of your best, if not your best player. Because if you lose an opener, your number 3 has got to stop that gap. If that number 3 can't do that, they're into your middle. And our batting of such in the middle order hasn't been very good. So we have some work to do with the openers, the number 3, and I think that's where we are weak. We have some pretty good. The bowlers are doing the job, but the batters we're short of guys who are putting a good innings together, and I think that's the problem that they have. They're catching fairly well. I mean, we have this best slip field in the world, I think. In Jason, you have young Seales now coming through. You have Roach is holding his end. You have Jason is there. I think probably we might have to find a place for Zari. I still think he could do a good job for us, but it's obviously he's out of favour with the selectors.
All right, when we come back on tour, we're going to hear from the captains, and then we're going to get the pulse of what the gentlemen expect for Test number 2. You're watching On Tour on FlowSports.
Time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land of put up. It's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land of put up.
All right, let's hear from the captains and their thoughts on how this match ended.
Commiserations. How would you describe this Test match?
बिल्कुल जिस तरह टेस्ट मैच की ये खूबसूरती है थ्रू आउट हमने काफ़ी अच्छी एफर्ट की बैटिंग में अनफॉर्चुनेटली हम जब मोमेंटम पकड़े थे उसमें हमने थोड़ी सी विकेटें लूज़ की पहली इनिंग्स में लेकिन उसके बाद फिर जब हमने बॉलर्स ने कम बैक किया और स्टिक किया उनको जल्दी आउट किया उसके बाद फिर बैटिंग में हमें मोमेंटम मिला लेकिन वही सेम हमने जब मोमेंटम पकड़ा तो बैक टू बैक विकेटें गिरी.
Yeah, it was a nerve-wracking Test match, and this is the beauty of Test cricket. In the first inning, we actually we lost early wicket, then we tried to came back, and then in the bowling, we tried to came back again. In the second inning, we tried hard to put some runs, but at the end, obviously, West Indies have won, and they played very well.
How would you describe this Test match?
Remarkable. Never lost hope. The attitude we had at tea time. From Josh coming in and making a lot of suggestions. I never lost hope. It's truly amazing.
And in terms of batting, we saw that batsmen struggled to score runs there. What exactly, upon reflection, is the template for scoring runs there in your estimation?
Well, to be honest, I thought Pakistan bowled really well. And, I just think it's patience. It's a pitch that, has in something for bowlers throughout the day. And I think who has more patience, will come on top, to be honest.
And your seam bowlers, they produce the goods for you in terms of wicket taking. You invested in a spinner in this test match. How would you reflect on that decision, and how would that set you for the second test match?
Well, still have some time, before your next test, and obviously it will be a different pitch. But the bowler did a fantastic job. Whenever, asked them to do a roll, they did it. They were a little tired at times, but the guys were always willing, and that was truly amazing.
All right, wonderful stuff. Dr. Kashif Ansari, from a Pakistani perspective, what changes, if any, would you like to see for the second and final test starting on Friday?
Well, they don't have much choice, but whatever I can think of is basically Imam ul Haq or Fakhr Zaman. One of those two guys should be added into the team. And from the rest of the time, I think one of the changes I would suggest is drop Yasir Shah and play Usman Qadir if there is any room for a leg spinner. And if not, then they should try Imran Khan Jr., who is a part of the squad, and see if he can utilize the surface a little bit better than any of other fast bowlers. Other than that, there is not much of a choice. They got to do what they got to do and just perform their best and hope for the best.
Tino, you reckon that the West Indies will keep the same 11 for test number 2?
It's very difficult. I will make 2 changes, Barry. I think that Paul, Kyron, I like Paul. I love Smack a lot, but it hurts me and pains me. Smack just does not look in good nick at all. Even from the South African series coming in, I will go with probably Shea Hope to open. I think that's something that the West Indies got to cut the nose and spoil the features with. Try Shea. I don't think he can do as worse as what Paul has given us. But Warwick Khan, I will change Warwick Khan and bring in Azari. Look, if we're going to deal with a spinner, we can let Roston do that work. I think that on that surface, we need to bowl Pakistan twice. And I know we have done it in this first test, which is really good. But I think that another pacer with some more pace as well could do the job. We've got to find a place for Azari in this team. And those are the 2 changes I would do, because we're not utilizing Warwick Khan, Barry. He's not a batsman. Azari has a test average of nearly 40 already, Barry. So that's somebody in the lower middle order that can get some runs for the team as well. So I think those are the 2 changes I will make if I'm the selector. I am not. I'm just a pundit. So let's see.
What about you, Johnny Barron?
That's a good question. I think I'd certainly like to see Shea Hope in the side, and as Tino alluded to, it's whether you do swap Powell at the top of the order, or do you play an extra batsman. To be honest, I think that the bowling attack that the West Indies have, especially with the fact that Carl Mayers is such an effective second all-rounder in that lineup, I think they've probably got enough firepower, to be perfectly honest. I'd be interested in having Shea Hope in that side alongside Powell. That means you've got batting going down to De Silva, batting at number 9, which could be critical because you expect the surface to be very similar in the second test. But hats off to the West Indies. 3 significant chases in the last 12 months, the 200 at the Ageas Bowl, the 395 in Bangladesh, and now the 168 today. Terrific stuff.
The last word is with you, Sir Clive Lloyd.
I don't think you want to make too many changes for the West Indies team. I still think Alzari should play. The fast bowler's been getting wickets, and he's sharp, and I think he'll get you runs too. And I think we have enough spin. They have the captain can bowl off spin. You have Chase to bowl some off spin. And I don't think you guys realize too that Blackwood can bowl too, and I think they should encourage him to bowl in the nets. Where Pakistan is concerned, it's obvious that their last 5 batters don't look as strong, so they must be able to shore that up a bit. And so I think it should be another very great test match. And I must say congratulations to the West Indies team, to the backroom staff and the captain for the effort that they've put in. And I think it should be, if the pitch is sort of prepared properly, it should be another exciting test match.
All right, fantastic stuff. Thank you, gentlemen. Dr. Kashif Ansari, our Pakistan pundit, who called it correctly. Well done to you. Johnny Barron, Sir Clive Lloyd, And of course, Tino Best, who also called it correctly. He was up by 20 runs or so, but he did say it was going to be a fantastic finish for the West Indies. So we've got a couple of days to rest, recuperate, and then on Friday we'll be back with live action and exclusive action here on Flow Sports. Until then, I'm Barry Wilkinson for On Tour. See you on Friday.
West Indies. That's right. Turn it up to the top, it's time to jump up. People, are you ready?